All right, welcome. This is Snake Feeding 101 with Mrs. Owens. This is my corn snake, and we've had the corn snake 20 years in my classroom, and he often eats in front of my students, in front of my class, so we're going to go ahead and do it virtual. And here we go. So the snake has already started to eat the first mouse. You can see he opened up his mouth there. Again, this is a corn snake eating a mouse. You can think about the words predator and prey. So the snake is the predator, the mouse is the prey. So what happens is the snake is able to unhinge its bottom jaw and swallow something that's larger than its own mouth. We don't have that ability as a human, but snakes can do that, and then the peristalsis muscles will take over and move the mouse along the snake's body to the stomach area, which is about 2/3 of the way down. Kind of to the end of where that rock is laying that you can see is about where the stomach is. Right about in that area. Typical questions that I receive when I'm doing the snake feeding would be, where do snakes poop? So snakes are able to poop out of their tail. There's actually an opening at the bottom of their tail, and a flap opens up and the poop will come out there. It's also the same location for anything, whether it's a boy or a girl. Other questions that I get are, what do they eat out in the wild? Because this is a snake found around the Carolinas and many other places around the United States. And so this snake would eat birds' eggs, baby birds, or any sort of small mammal that you might have around your house, whether it's a small mouse or a small rat, or maybe a mole or a shrew, those kind of things that you don't want to have coming into your home. The snakes will take care of that for you so they don't come into your home. Other questions that I get are about whether the snake has a vertebrae or a backbone. In fact, it does have a vertebrae and a backbone, just like the human. What a great look at how wide the mouth is. Another question I get is, why is it called a corn snake? So corn snakes are named because I think it's two reasons that I found on the internet would be that the snake is found often around cornfields, and farmers love to have them around because they do control the rodent population that would be eating the corn, and the farmer wants to harvest the corn for money, and so they like to have the snakes around their barns and around their corn to control the mice population. And the other reason is underneath is a really pretty pattern of checkerboard pattern. Kind of looks like what we call Indian corn, the corn that's around Thanksgiving time. Is maybe it's all hardened up and it's a decoration. What a great look there. Students also wonder, how can they breathe? Well, they do have little nose holes. If you zoom in, you can see they are breathing through their nose at this point. He also has a tongue, but his tongue is out of the way right now. But his tongue is used for smelling. Probably get a chance to see his tongue in a little bit here, in between mice. The stomach acids in a corn snake and other snakes are so strong that they can digest the fur and the bones and the little teeth and little nails of the mice or whatever prey they're eating. And when they poop it out, literally it looks just like bird poop, a little bit of white, a little bit of black, and kind of runny. So it has everything all in together, but the fur and the bones are all digested. That's why they're just amazing, able to digest all that with their strong stomach acids. So the peristalsis muscles are going to take over here. What a nice look at the corn snake eating its first mouse today. You can see how the muscles are going to move the mouse down the body. And again, the stomach area was down past the rock there. And keep an eye on all the parts of the body, how it moves. You might be able to see him breathing. His lungs are elongated organs, and they're kind of in the area right around the rock. Sometimes he will hinge his jaw back together, but he might yawn first. So you might get a good look at that. So keep checking and watching. They don't have a lot of room for a brain, so snakes can only think really two things. Is this a tree or is this food? So whether or not it's a mouse or something they can eat, or whether it's a tree that they can climb or something they can hide in, they don't have a lot of brain to think about other stuff. You can see there's not much space there in the head. So he may not even be aware at this point that there's a mouse underneath him until he's ready to eat again in a minute, once he gets that mouse a little farther down his body. One of the things I like to talk about is how a copperhead snake does look very similar to the corn snake. And so corn snakes are often killed. People get them confused. But the copperhead, if you look it up, does look different. It has more browns and more of an hourglass dark brown pattern, pretty consistent along the whole body. And their head's going to be more triangular. And their eyes are going to have the triangular shape like a cat more than the round shape that you see here. This is a constrictor, so he's not poisonous. He swallows his prey whole and does not use any poison. It just swallows it whole. He does have really little teeny teeth, but they're really hard to see. Looks like he's starting to become aware that there might be something right there too near him. And you can still see that mouse now moving down the left side of the tank toward that back left corner. Keep an eye on his jaw there. You can see it's a little bit, there's the tongue. We talked about how the tongue smells. I can't see quite in the same way that we can, so shadows or things might frighten him. So I'm standing really still. I'll go ahead and see if he eats this second mouse. If you have any more questions, feel free to put them in the comment box. Typically they try and eat them head first. It's a little bit easier to get it down. The legs and arms are laying the correct way to get down, but we'll kind of see what he does here. These mice are ordered off the internet and they come already dead to me. They come frozen. I keep them in my freezer. So they're mice that are particularly raised in a laboratory to be clean and have no chemicals in them, because as you think about the food chain and the food web, if you're putting chemicals in your yard to kill bugs and then the bugs are killed but the mouse eats it, the mouse eats a whole bunch of bugs and then he's got a bunch of chemicals in his body, and then those chemicals are going to add up into the snake's body, and the snake's going to eat multiple mice. He's going to get multiple chemical exposure, and then it moves its way up the food chain then to maybe a hawk or a raccoon or an owl, and then those animals can get really, really sick because they're eating so many different snakes and other mice and different things that they get a lot more chemical exposure. So I encourage you to consider going chemical free and trying to be as natural as possible in and out of your home as you protect our animals around our beautiful environment. You can see the mouse now is probably just hitting the rock area to get to that stomach area. You can see it's a much larger protrusion or a swollen area. All right, so he's gonna eat the second one, but he's eating it tail first. Not the easiest way to swallow things. Gonna have trouble probably getting that tongue in there, or the tail, I mean. If you're still watching or just joining us, this is a corn snake eating a mouse. I've had the snake 20 years and he stays typically in my classroom. And here we have the snake eating the second mouse. Gosh, it's like he knows we're filming. He's just staying right there so we can really get the best images I've ever had. Look at how big that bottom jaw can get to get that tail in there. Wow. After he eats this, he's going to curl up in a box that I'm going to put back in there that he can kind of be like in a cave, and then he'll stay put for probably about 2 days, and then he'll poop and he'll be ready to eat again. But typically, to keep the snake healthy, you only feed him once every 2 weeks, about 2 mice once every 2 weeks, and that keeps this type of snake healthy. He's never had to go to the vet, and he's been in good shape. And I have a basking light on there to give him some sunshine and light because he's kind of in a dark area in my home. You don't have to have a heating pad for this type of snake here in North Carolina because they are native to this area. They're found here. Again, if you have questions, feel free to put them below and I'll be happy to try and answer those for you. Pretty fast process because in nature they'd want to eat pretty quickly and then go back into hiding so another predator wouldn't find them during the feeding process. So it's going to be pretty fast here as the peristalsis muscles take over and get that mouse moving down to the stomach, which again is by the rock area. This is a corn snake or a red rat snake, kind of related to the black rat snake. We've got yellow rat snakes, black rat snakes, red rat snakes, and they all make really, well, at least the black rat snake and the corn snake make pretty good pets. They can live a pretty long time, about 20 years in captivity. The snake is about 20 years old now. Kids also ask if he's ever bitten me, but the answer is no. He's never bitten me. I've raised him from a baby and held him a lot, and I only use my hands to pick him up. I don't feed him with my hands, so he doesn't associate my hand with anything, but he thinks it's a tree. So he allows me to pick him up, no problem. So actually anybody can reach in there and he won't try and bite. Oh, there you can really see that second mouse moving down. Keep an eye on his mouth. In a few minutes, he'll put his jaw back together. It's really cool. He'll do a nice big yawn and put his mouth. He'll relocate his jaw and connect it back together. You can look up a picture of the skeleton of a snake to see what it looks like. And you can also look up the internal organs of a snake to see all the things inside and compare it to the human, do a nice little comparative anatomy study. There you go, keep an eye on the mouth. You can see him moving his jaw every once in a while, trying to get it back into place. And at the same time, he's moving his muscles of his body to get the mouse down to the stomach. There we go. What a nice look that was. All right, well, I think we're done watching the snake eat and put his jaw back together. Thank you for watching. This has been Mrs. Owens. If you like more science things, you can subscribe to my channel. I've been doing some more science for you. See you soon.